Hey guys, so if you haven't seen the first video in this series, click here to learn the easier method to add slow motion to stick figure animations. That video dealt with slow motion when it is used in smaller segments. But let's say we wanted to convert the entire beginning of this animation to slow motion. We could do the same shape tween method by adding several frames in between each keyframe for each body part and then shape tweening every layer, but in my experience it gets very complicated very fast. A more reliable method is to create symbols for every body part and classic tween them into each of the main poses. So first, let's space out the frames that we want to turn slow motion. Then copy the first frame onto a new layer. Switch the layer below to layer outline mode and lock it. Take each body part and turn it into a symbol and give them each an alphabetically efficient name like stick_head or stick_torso. If the arms are similar enough, you can copy one arm over to the other side. In order for the legs to bend, we need to split them in half. So right-click the leg and hit break apart, and use the line tool to split the leg in half. Then turn each half into its own symbol. Inside the symbol, you can click and drag to add some overlap. You can also copy these leg pieces to the other leg if it is similar enough. Now set the anchor points by double-clicking each body part and dragging it so that the anchor point is where you want it. It's best to put the anchor points where they intersect the other parts, like the shoulders and the knees. You'll have to readjust the position after editing each part. The upper leg should also have its anchor point at the knee, not the bottom of the torso, because this will prevent the knee from getting dislocated in my experience. Now we want to select all the body parts, right-click, and hit Distribute to Layers. Now comes the fun part, posing the character. Create a new keyframe for all the body parts above the next keyframe in our animation. Change the layer outline color of the bottom layer to black so we can see it more clearly. Then move each of the body parts to match that pose. A good method is to drag the body part based on where the anchor point goes, and rotating and scaling the rest into place. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to make sense. Sometimes the body part has to be warped a little bit. Do the same for the rest of the poses in the animation. When you are done, take the remaining frames and clear them with F7, then drag the additional frames up one layer. Then hide the bottom layer for later reference. Select the frames of all the body parts as well as the frames on the ball layer, right-click and hit Create Classic Tween. Now your animation should be in slow motion. There are some cases where classic tweening doesn't quite work, for example when the back bends. Normally when working with symbols, you can make it pop from one orientation to another without it seeming weird, but when it's in slow motion it's very noticeable. So what we need to do is double-click the torso and add maybe 12 frames using F5. Create a new blank keyframe with F7 and draw the same torso, but bent the other way. Then add a shape tween. This will be the full range of your torso's bending. Exit the symbol and now you'll see that the torso is constantly bending, so we need to set its playback to single frame by selecting all the frames that are classic tweened on that layer, going to Properties, hitting Sync, clicking the symbol, then going to the bottom and selecting single frame. Then select the frames again and turn off Sync. Now go to the frame where it should bend and change the frame number by hovering over it and using your scroll wheel until the back matches up. Do this for any other poses. Now when we play it, it still jumps because it's set to only display a single frame. So to make it smooth, we can select the first keyframe and set it to play once. Now it is smooth. If you ever want to smoothly transition back to the original pose, it involves creating a new keyframe, lowering the frame number by 1, creating another keyframe, lowering it by 1 again, and repeating until it matches the original pose. And that is how you do slow motion for long sequences. I have a bonus lesson that comes from a comment on my last video to cover how to do the slow motion trails that you see in videos sometimes. But first I want to remind you guys about the Animation Foundations course offered by Bloop Animation. This course just came out today, and it's free for 1 week if you get any of their other courses. So that means on October 25th it will become full price. Click the link in the description to learn more. Alright, so here's the other lesson, how to make slow motion trails. Take your slow motion animation and select all the frames that are in slow motion. Right-click and select Copy Frames. Click Insert New Symbol and paste the frames into it. Then return to the main timeline. Add 4 new layers below your animation. Find the first frame that your slow motion section starts on and drag your slow motion animation symbol onto that frame and adjust its position until it aligns perfectly with the animation. Then hide the layers above so you can click the symbol on the stage, go to Properties, and under Color Effect, select Alpha and change it to 25. Now the magic part. Hold down Alt and click and drag your frame to the layer below and one frame ahead. Do this 2 more times. Unhide the layers above, and you have your trails. Pretty cool. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.